Welcome to Magic Wand Crochet. My name is Brianna, and thank you so much for being here today. So today we're going to go ahead and learn the double crochet. Now in this video, I actually did it with a couple of different yarns. So if we start out with a certain color in yarn and you're like, oh God, I can't see the stitches, or there's some issue with it, please wait and just continue on with the video. I did do it with different yarns. I actually ended the video with some beginner yarn as well, so that you can see the stitch definition really well. So this is the double crochet video that I have been promising. I do apologize for its delay. I had technical difficulties. If you look in my blog below, right after I did my last video, my phone fell out of the holder and I broke my receiver for my microphone. So I had to order a new one. I do apologize for the delay, but here we are. So let's go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for joining me today, and we are going to go ahead and get started with a slip knot, and then we are going to go ahead and chain 12. Today I'm going to be using a 3.5 millimeter hook. So now that we have the slip knot, I'm going to go ahead and chain 12 like I mentioned. If you need a refresher, please see my other videos on how to chain or do a slip knot. And I'll be right back. Okay, now I have 12 on my hook. We're going to go ahead and skip the first 2 chains. That is going to create a standing stitch for our double crochet. And then we are going to go ahead and go into this 3rd chain from the hook right here. So we're going to go ahead and start by yarning over. We're going to go into that stitch. We're going to yarn over and pull up the loop, yarn over, and instead of pulling through all 3, we're going to pull through 2. We now have 2 on the hook, as you can see here. Those 2 legs right there are the loops that we just pulled through. We're going to yarn over again and then pull through the remaining 2. And that is the first double crochet. So now we're going to go ahead and go into this next stitch. It is not that big hole where the stitch is, but the next one. We're going to yarn over and go into that next stitch, yarn over, pull up the loop. We have 3 on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2. We have 2 on the hook, yarn over, and pull through 2. And let's go ahead and continue. So yarn over, and go into that next stitch right there. Pull up the loop, 3 on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, 2 on the hook, yarn over, and pull through the last 2. Now we have a couple of double crochets there. So now we're going to go into this next stitch and we're going to go ahead and finish out this row. Let's go ahead and finish out the row. Yarn over, go into that next stitch, yarn over, pull up the loop. Again, we have yarned over. I'm going to go ahead and yarn over, pull through the first 2, pull through the 2, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through the last 2. You should be getting the rhythm now. So yarning over, going into that next stitch, right there. Yep. And then we're going to yarn over again and pull up the loop. And the same thing as before, yarning over and pulling through those first two. And then we're going to yarn over and pull through the last two here. This yarn is stretchy. I love how it feels though. Okay, going and doing the next stitch. You should be starting to get the rhythm of it. If not, you can always rewind and rewatch. But I am finishing out the row here, so yarning over and pulling through two, yarning over and pulling through two again. All right, we got 2 stitches left here. Okay, and now the last stitch of the row. And then I will get to show you how to start the second row. Yarn over, pull through the 2. Very nice. Yarn over and pull through the last 2. All right, that looks good. Now let's go ahead and start the second row. So there are 2 ways to do the second row. One of them is a chain 2 and turn method. The other one is the method that I choose to use for a very even edge, and that is a extended single crochet. And when you turn your work, it makes a very, very nice edge. So instead of chaining 2 and turning like you see here, which gives kind of a twisted edge to it, anyways, I prefer the extended single crochet, and I will show you in just a moment how it looks. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and turn our work, and in that first stitch right there where you see that small hole, we are not going to yarn over. We are actually just going to put our hook into underneath that stitch that's holding the loop on our hook. So right there. Let me put my loop back on my hook here. Okay, so here we go. Into that stitch right there. So we put our hook in, yarn over and pull up the loop. We have 2 on the hook for the single crochet. We're going to go ahead and yarn over, and we're going to pull through those 2. And now we have those 2 legs of the stitch, and a single crochet has been started. So in the left leg of the stitch you see right there, because our hook points to the left, if you were left-handed, your hook would point towards the right. You're going to go under that leg of the stitch right there. And let me adjust a little bit here. Okay. So under that leg, you're going to yarn over, and you're going to go ahead and pull up a loop so that you have 2 on your hook. And then you're going to finish it out like it's a single crochet again. Now this is the edge that it shows. It just looks like a couple of stitches. It makes borders really nice. We're going to yarn over and pull through those 2, and that is the extended single crochet. And it has a very nice straight edge to it, just like so. Now we're going to yarn over and go into the next stitch, yarn over, and go ahead and pull up the loop. This is the appropriate way to do a double crochet, is to make sure that the legs are as tall as the stitch next to it, which is held up by that standing stitch, which was our extended single crochet. This helps to make for a very nice row of stitches. It also helps prepare the following row as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and yarn over, go into that next stitch, yarn over again, pull up the loop. I'm going to go ahead and yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. I am going to do a few more and then I will meet you at the end of this row. It looks very, very nice. I like how it comes out. This is a very fun stitch to do. It is one of my favorites. A lot of people know that. And I just finished a blanket that was double crocheted like this. It was 273 double crochets long, and it was 65 rows wide. It was a pretty long blanket. Here we are on the last stitch of the row, just finishing out the swatch. And this is 2 rows of double crochet. I'm going to pull out my working yarn, and there we go. Now let's go ahead and do a row of slip stitches. So we are going to first take our swatch. We're going to turn our work. We will be starting in that first stitch where you see that little hole above my nail. So we're going to insert our hook. We're going to yarn over. We're going to go ahead and pull up a loop, but we're going to catch it in the mouth of our hook and turn the hook head and pull it through that second loop. That is a slip stitch. Let's go ahead and try it again in the next stitch. I'm going to go under that V, just like so. Yarn over, pull up that loop, catch it in the hook head, or the hook's mouth, sorry, and pull it through. This is practice for right now, but as you will see later in the row, it's all one singular motion. So you pull up the loop and you actually pull it through that second loop all in one twist of the hook. The more you practice, the better you become. This is a very tricky stitch. It adds no height to your work. It's used a lot
and
in
show you how to
granny
do
squares
some slip
and
stitches.
some amigurumi. And I particularly find it a very important stitch, especially one to practice. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and continue. Let me see if that helps for you to see the yarn better. Okay, and there we are. Again, we're pulling it through
All
that
complete.
second loop.
Double crochet
Into the next
swatch.
stitch, we yarn over, we pull up that loop, pull it through the second loop.
I'm very pleased with how this turned out.
If you struggle with it, don't worry about it. It does take practice. Into the next stitch, yarn over, and as you pull it through the hoop, you can also turn your work if it helps you to get it through that stitch. Into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up that loop and into the next loop. All right, one more. Into that next stitch, yarn over, pull up and through,
And voila. That is a row of slip stitches. And there is a double crochet swatch with a slip stitch top border. In this next segment, I just wanted to show you how the double crochet row would work up with a darker or a different yarn. This is a tweed yarn in gray, heather gray. And just like before, we will skip the first 2 stitches. And I will show how this yarn works up with just a couple of double crochets. And then we will move on to a different kind of yarn, and I will show you how that works up in a double crochet as well. So again, here we are with 3 on our hook. It's a little harder to see with the gray. We yarn over, we pull through the first 2, have 2 on our hook again. We're going to yarn over. See how hard it is to see? And then pull through 2. There's our standing stitch and our double crochet, which is difficult to see with the heather gray. This tweed yarn makes it a little bit harder. You have to get pretty close up in order to see the stitch definition with this one. And that's the difference in yarns and the color of yarn, but also the type. All right, and let's go ahead and finish out this stitch, and then I will show you how it looks with a few more stitches, and I will be right back. In this portion of the video, I am going to be using some beginner yarn, which works and is constructed a little bit differently than regular yarn. This is more like a tube yarn. It has the stuffing on the inside, but it just behaves differently than regular yarn does. It doesn't split, so that makes it a super benefit. Here I have a single crochet row that I made with beginner yarn. Today we are going to do the double crochet just to show you the stitch definition, because you can see it very easily with the beginner yarn. I am going to use my 3.5 millimeter hook. I'm actually going to use my furls in this case. This is also a 3.5. This one is their Aura hook. It is phenomenal. I've never felt a smoother metal or better quality. It's worth every penny I spent on this one, which I think was $28. And here we have 12 chains ready to go. Yarn over, skip those 2, go into that 3rd chain, yarn over, we're going to pull up a loop. We have 3 on the hook. And now we're going to yarn over, and we're going to pull through the first 2 legs of the stitch right there and pull up the loop. Now you have 2 on your hook. We're going to yarn over again and pull through 2. This is our standing stitch right here, and this is our double crochet. Okay, we're going to go ahead and do that again. So we're going to yarn over. We're going to go into this next stitch here, not this one where we just went into, but this next one. So go under, yarn over, pull up the loop. You have 3 on your hook, like so. Yarn over, pull through 2,
You have 2 on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that one more time. So in this next stitch here, you go ahead and increase the zoom here so you can see this better. In this next stitch right here, where my thumbnail is, we're going to go into that one. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook, yarn over, pull up the loop. We have 3 on the hook. We're going to yarn over again, pull through those 2 right here, these 2. You have 2 on your hook, yarn over again, pull through 2. That is the double crochet.
Thank you everyone for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed today's video. Happy stitching!
Okay, so into the third chain from the hook, 1, 2, and 3, right there. We're gonna go ahead and, yep, right into that stitch right there, guys. Okay, so we have 12 chains on the hook like before.